There, this is done now. We're ready. So, why are we in the kitchen? Because I want to use one of the kitchen utensils to make a drawing out of it. This is quite an interesting spoon, so I'm going to try to make a spaceship out of this. Let's see how it works. Alright, so here is the spoon that I have chosen. I've chosen because it's quite it's interesting looking, right? It has a slightly different shape than what I'm used to. So first, let me do a quick study of this spoon. So I'm just going to put it here right out of camera view, and I think I will want to draw it from somewhat this view, something like this. It would be an interesting spaceship. So, but yeah, as I said, first let's see how that spoon looks. I'm still gonna use markers first, so I'm gonna take my style file markers here, and I'll take a CG1 or a CG0. Alright, these are the lightest one, so let's get cracking. Let's see, first I am going to look at the shape of the head, which is here, and then the end of the spoon. It has a sort of a thickening here, and then towards the end it gets a bit funky again, and it's not really a round spoon. It's almost like a pentagonal shape there. There we go, something like this. Yeah, it's pretty much what I see here. I think yeah, there we go. So the handle part is a little bit longer, something like that. It's the zero, quite strong. Okay. Now let me quickly go over with a marker as well. This is the roundness, this is the front. And I'm not trying to get it super smooth lines here. This is mostly for me to understand the shape a little bit. So later when I want to translate it into a spaceship, I sort of understand what the shape of this spoon is. Alright, I think this is kind of it. Right, okay, let me go in with a little bit, give it a more volume. I think there we go. Then the sides. A little bit more here. And where's my zero? There we go. Add a little bit. Why do I keep on taking the thin part? Okay, this is a little bit empty, but it still works. Okay. Bit of a dirty spoon there, but alright. Let me reinforce these lines a little bit here. There we go. Just add a little bit of a shadow to it. Some cross hatching. Alright, so this is our spoon. So next is I have to think about a little what sort of spaceship I want. So with this I like to just not improvise that much, but let me take this one. Just explore what I can do. So it could be sort of a fighter, where you have the cockpit here in the front. I could make this a little bit wider and then just add two engines here. It's almost like an underwater sort of boat. If anybody remembers back Star Wars Episode 1, they had that underwater sort of ship that took them through the center, the core of the planet. And okay, I made this a little bit too it looks a little bit like a spermatoid, so I don't want that. Okay, this is better. Problem is, it doesn't look like something fantastically maneuverable, which probably won't be the case if you have such a long tail. Let me quickly just go, how would this look like? So I want I want to keep this pentagonal shape because I like it. Alright, so this would be the pentagonal shape. And I think these would be like the engines. Well, not the engines, but exhaust. Well, I don't know what's it called in spaceship. The spaceships, no. The current jet fighters, you have these jet exhausts, and I think it's something like that. And then I would put the cockpit somewhere here. There we go. Alright, and then the tail part, which I'm figuring out what could be the functionality of this. Because, so maybe if we think of it as not a fighter, but transport, sort of like fast scout, like a super fast scout that maybe also has, or maybe doesn't have hyperspace capabilities, but it's just super fast, and then it needs this sort of shape to keep fast. Okay, if I look at it, I don't like how bent it is, so I'm taking that away. So I'd say if this would be the length of the ship, let's say like this, and then like undercarriage a little bit there, and this would be the engine, and then in the end we have this part. So I'm still not sure I want to stay with this one, although now that so this is why it's important, I think, to tell a story, even to yourself. Just think about it. What are you drawing? Why are you doing it? What's its functionality? Because in the beginning I was like, oh, this is not going to work as a fighter, as a small ship. But as I tell the story to myself, I see possibilities how it might be used. So if we think of the Greeks, we had the marathon, the fight at Marathon, was it? Where we have the marathon runners now. So that's basically, that was one soldier running the whole length of a marathon to warn or to ask for help. Don't ask me to remember Greek history now, because I'm not sure. But like, think of this ship as a super fast runner where you can't send messages, or in war or something like that, and then you have to send a delegate, or you want to get somebody out of war. This could be a super fast ship when you have a blockade, a hyperspace blockade or something like that. But another possibility that I'm thinking about, it could be like a generational ship. So like if Earth would send out colony ships. So we discovered different planets, but they're super far away. And then we want to send colony ships to rendezvous with these planets. And then this would be a nice sort of ship as well. So then I will change it a little bit, and where we have the thicker part of the thing here, instead of just adding a thicker part, I would say this could be where the cryo chambers are, and we have all our people frozen in cryopods there. I'm going to leave the exhausts where they are. I think that's a good design choice there. But then what I'm going to put in here is going to be a drum. So basically a spinning area. So if we have crew, sort of like, I don't know what the movie was called with what's his face? Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris. It was something Chris. I'm sorry that I'm forgetting it right now. But that was also a generational ship, if I remember correctly. And from time to time, like, he got woken up. But I think it's cool to have a crew that has to wake up and check from time to time. So when that crew wakes up, so they don't get sick or something, and they could have some sort of a spinning drum area to create gravity field and to create sort of a living space for them. So then here in the front, this is just a giant area of the ship. We can do all sorts of detailing here, but I don't want to get too much into that. And then the under part would look somewhat similar as well. So not like our spoon, but I would much rather think of it as the same, not hollow, but the opposite area. And then this would be like a fin, sorry, not a thin. And then you can still have the bridge somewhere in the middle, or maybe here I could put like a observational deck there as well. And then back here I'm also going to split this. I'm still going to have this sort of widening, but then inside of that widening we're going to have this drum, these living quarters where you can exercise. I also like think of a little bit of Space Odyssey. Oh my god, I'm forgetting the name of 2001. Space Odyssey 2001. Oh my god, I have to give back my my sci-fi nerdiness card now. That's quite a shame. But anyways, so you can run around in that drum. You have gravity, and you can do some daily stuff, relax a little bit, and not feel that you're always in low gravity. So I like this design as well. So now I'm in the conundrum that I like both. Let me also do a quick side view of this one. So as I said, we would have this, the upper part, but then I would just prop it out below it just like that as well. And then split here, there we go. And then here you have the exhausts. And then this is like a fin. And here it splits. Then we have the drum and the living quarters again. And then we go back to the back. And then this can be some sort of stabilizer. It's not necessary, especially in deep space where you don't have drag and stuff like that. But I still like putting stuff on that onto my designs because it's really not functional. It just gives a little bit of familiarity to the design. And it's easier to accept designs sometimes when they're familiar. So I think that technically I should leave that, and I shouldn't be lazy and come up with a better design solution for that. I just don't want it to disappear. But you know what? I am going to make it disappear now that I'm working with black lines. So let's just see how it works if I just let it thin out like that, and then maybe some sensors could be there. So this is obviously something built in orbit, maybe low orbit, not necessarily low orbit, but this can't be built on a planet, and it can't take off and land and stuff like that. And neither do I think that the other one should be able to do that. Okay, so let me just do a little bit of detailing, because I still think that I will probably go with the other one as a final design. So I'm going to take this C2, which is here, and then just go in a little bit more. Let's do the underside with C2 here as well. There we go, and then let's do this, the underside of the drum. This is really not important to color and detail these ones. Since I think that I'm not going to draw this generation ship out, I want it a little bit more detailed. The C3 is not dark enough, so I'm switching to my C4. Let's see, oh yeah, that's better. I like this more. And then there we go, some darkness in there, and there. And then I'm also doing this with the C4 down. There we go. And it's the same idea also with this ship. The more you think about what the story might be, the more you also force yourself to think a little bit about functionality of the ship. So just you can see also the fin here with the fin at the end. While it looked good in the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, I just want the fin there. It just doesn't make sense. You don't need that fin necessarily. I could make up sort of a story for it, but I feel it's just lazy since I drew it, and then rather than coming up with a better solution, I just come up with explanations of why I want to keep it instead of really thinking about the proper design. Alright, so I think I'm going to leave that at that, and I'm going to do this one now again. Alright, let's see if I go back to my C0 again. Just to, and I'm not sure, I hope the camera picks up when I'm working with a C0, because if not, then you're just looking at me using almost a see-through marker. But as I explained before as well, I like using the lower opacity markers, because it is like drawing with pencil. So I'm not going to be able to erase my mistakes, but at the same time I will be able to just draw over it, and it won't show that I necessarily made mistakes. Now I would like to bring in a little bit of this hexagonal, or not hexagonal, pentagonal shape into, hexagonal in this case, into this cockpit area, and I would like to emphasize that it should be bigger. Like, this is too small for something that has to run for a long time. So I would say like something like that, and where do I position it? I think in the front it actually works better, and then in the back you have the engine compartment. There we go. Yes, and then here let's add a little another bulky part, and then we go into this long part. Yeah, and then here we have this fin, and then also now I'm thinking about why would the design there get a little bit bigger, and maybe what I'm thinking about, you could have some sort of gyroscope there. I don't know if it's necessarily needed in deep space, but why not? So this is when you also decide if you're going more the Star Wars route of science fantasy, or if you want to think of more hard science fiction, like, let's say, the Expanse universe. And as much as I really love hard sci-fi, I feel I don't have the necessary knowledge for it. And I'm sorry, but I am going to start twisting the paper a little bit now, because I feel like I want to have nicer lines for this final drawing. There we go. So yeah, but returning to what sort of sci-fi you want to do, I feel like I'm going a little bit more with the Star Wars science fantasy, because that gyro is definitely not needed, but I think it's quite a nifty solution. And what I don't like, I made this a little bit longer, but it's okay. You know what this shape reminds me a little bit of as well? Like, if any of you played the Homeworld series, there was I think it's the Interceptor of the Higarans. Well, I don't know if they're still called Higarans, but the Interceptor in the Homeworld 2 was basically the main fighter class ship. And I don't know, this, especially looking at this one, it kind of reminds me of that. So I feel like these exhausts are a little bit too long, so I'm going to add a design element here that connects it to the ship and connects it to this part. There we go. This is my favorite part of all drawing and all ideation. It's really the concepting, and you just still come up with more and more ideas, and I can get lost in this part of drawing and designing quite easily and spend a little bit too much time. Wow, great, I just spat on the paper again. But obviously, if you are working for the client, they want like cool and nicely rendered visuals, and that's just something that I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I see the value in it. It's just, I'm not really, I don't find it that fun. I know there are plenty of people out there who think, not just think, but they really like rendering stuff out nicely and neatly. And I feel like I would like to combine my forces with one of those people, because I really enjoy just making the line art, and I would love to just push it up to somebody. Here you go, there's the idea. Now you can have all the fun in the world and just render this baby out. But yeah, I don't know anybody like that who wants to do that. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes I also feel like, okay, I do want to render this out a little bit. But this is really, I just find so much liberty and freedom and fun just being able to ideate. Okay, those lines went nowhere. Well, great. There we go. So I decided to add the fin here after all, but also together with some sort of beacon it has, or some signal sort of amplifier. Okay. All right. So this is really just now mostly the detailing part comes. Like, how do I want this to look? What sort of details is it missing? Add a little bit of thickness here and there. Okay, so this gyro is it? It is sort of hanging in the air, but I want there to still be some more mechanism around it. And sadly, I left too little room on the paper for the. So these ones I usually make in smaller, like you could see maybe a previous drawing of mine. But yeah, I messed that one up a little bit. So this one should have more space, but hey, it happens. Okay, so that would be the cockpit. There we go. And I like it much better small like this. So that still means that within this carapace there is enough space for maybe living quarters or just some extra rooms, and then here back you have enough space for the engine. So it makes much more sense than this one, where technically you don't even have room for a proper engine and stuff like that. Okay, now I am going to make just some of the lines a little bit stronger. I think that's perfect. Add the engines on this part as well. There we go. Make this a little bit stronger. Add some Star Wars sort of tech detailing here. Like, you know, the Star Destroyers? They're like two wedges put together, and then in between them you have these slots full of fancy schmancy sci-fi tech. Yeah, that's what I was trying to add there. The problem again, it's too small, so stuff doesn't really fit there. All right. So there's this. Do we miss anything? Let me try to add some more detailing with a 0. I like to add a number. For some reason, I really like to use 7. So let's say if you have a squadron of days, and then this one is number 7 out of, I don't know, let's say 12. And they're sent all over the universe. Or I would rather, it's like a very important mining outpost, and they have been attacked by the Maluvian Empire. It was a surprise attack, and they just jumped in from hyperspace, and they brought quite a couple of hyperspace blocking cruisers with them. So you're kind of screwed, because you can't jump to hyperspace, and maybe with the hyperspace cruisers they also have message blocking, so they manage to block messagings. And then the squadron of 12 comes just in handy. And then what you would do is you would have them speed into different directions. And then let's say 6 of them got shot down. And then another 6 managed to escape into different directions, and then slowly they changed route and go towards the home place of Terra to warn the people and also maybe to bring in help. And even though they won't be able to jump quite close to the outpost, but they will be jumping at least to the next system, and then in a couple of clicks, let's call them, they will be able to get over to where they need it. So yeah, as you can see, and here I'm extremely nerdy and I really love sci-fi, but I just love imagining something like this, because just the whole design will make so much more sense if you put in a little bit of thinking and imagination effort and just try to make sense of what you're drawing. Because as I was drawing up, I love drawing just spaceships and cars and superheroes and whatnot, but I never really put too much effort into the stories, and it's just nice. That's what I love about drawing most now, is the creating a story or helping people create their stories and tell their stories. And I imagine this, what did I call it? What we have in phones as well. Yay, of course the word escapes me now. Gyroscope, okay. So I imagine this as a super fast spinning, like almost liquid metal sort of ball. Just spins super, super fast. So I just want to give him a little bit of shine. Alright, I think I like this, so I'm going to jump in with a little bit of graying it up. Let me take the... Actually, I'm going to go even darker. I'm going to take a CG5. So this is cool gray 5, right? There we go. Yep, I like the darkness of this. Very good. Try to not overdo it from the get-go. So usually it's also much better to start with the light ones, which I should do. I'm going to switch to the CG2. So I have CG2 here, and I'm going to color in the undercarriage. There we go. The front a little bit, and I'm going to do the sides. Also this, which could be like a nice design element there. And this, oh, I don't know if it's an exhaust area, but something like that. There we go. And then there's probably a light touch on the other side as well. Okay, and then this should be that color, and then this side up, lower side. I think that can be actually the CG5 that I have here, 4, 5. There we go. This, at least this part, would be a 5er. That's the shadowy part. There we go. And then the inner part here, I will do with the 5er as well. And then I'll switch to the 4, and I'll do this part. There we go. And then I'll do this part as well. Alright, and then I'll take my CG2 and then just do the rest on this side. And then the lower part and the upper part I leave white. And here I think the CG2 is not enough for this, but I can give it a pinch here and just sort of a fade away effect here. There we go. I can work with that. I'm going to accentuate these areas, and this gyro can be also a little bit colored in. Now let's do the same for the cockpit. I'm going to go over to CG2, but I feel that's not enough. Let me try out a CG3 on this one. I'll just do this side first. And I'll do a little bit in there, and I like it a lot. So I'm going back to my CG2, and I just want to do a little bit of outline here, which could also like be some sort of shadow. So if we have a sun, some system there, it could be a nice shadow. Let's not forget about the exhaust ports. CG2 first, and then I drew separators there. So the separators I'm going to, and by separators I just mean these slits. I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to draw these in with the CG4. All right, and I'm going to take the CG3, there we go, and just the lower part where there's, I'm expecting there to be a bit more shadow. There we go. And then I go over with the CG3 a little bit there. I give it some extra bump there and here as well. There we go. All right, what am I missing? Let me take that CG2 again, and then we have these cutting lines. Nice to give that some, there we go. So just make those cutting lines, give them a depth. So we have, there we go, that already works nicer. I must say, I know it's horrible to say it about your own stuff, but actually I'm very pleased how this came out. So don't get into the habit of liking your own stuff too much. But it's so I just know about myself that I'm hypercritical in general about my own stuff. So I am quite happy and pleased when it actually comes out in a way that I like it. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to give it a couple of more speed lines. Oh, you know what would be cool? Okay, let me get some colors. All right, so let's switch from Styrofoam markers to Copics. Sadly, I only have a gray set from Styrofoam markers, but I do have my Copics ready. And I was, like, usually I like to do like exhaust like this with blue, because that's nice and sci-fi. But since this is a little bit cartoony anyways, I'm just going to go with a typical fire look. So a yellow, a little bit of orange, more on the outside. So yellow is closer where the fire comes out, so it's closer to the white. There we go. So just, my idea is that they're sort of pulling a line from the exhaust almost. Okay, and then let me just add. Okay, do I have? Let me see how this works. Yeah, just E. Not sure this works, but I have to try. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my white thingamajiggy, this one, and I spat on it again. Welcome to the stream where I keep on spitting on my paper. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Alright, so we have some bubbles here. Yeah, so this is where it shows that I forgot that I wanted to do this on colored paper, but I forgot, so there we go. Add some effects like that don't necessarily work, but execute it. And then you can also add some highlights to the cockpit. There we go. What I actually wanted to do is take my CG1, that is 0. Where's my CG1, buddy? There we go. Let me try with the 0 first and just add a little bit. Yeah, this is what I wanted to do. And I think it's almost not working. It's not really working as I wanted it to, because it's a little bit empty. It's a good. All right, but I'm just going to go back very carefully. And, well, I don't know how careful this is, but just drawing this. I'm afraid though, so like the problem is, because we have quite a strong contrast here, it's going to attract the eye there too much. So to not do that, I'm going to add some highlight points around the ship. So if you have more highlight points, usually that's a bad thing, so you have to watch out for that. Because if you had too much detail and highlight points, the eye is going to be attracted to too many places, and that's not good. But because I made this is a little bit too strong. I don't want the eye only to go there. So then if I spread a couple of highlight points here and there, it sort of takes that effect away. So I think now it works again. And one thing that I wanted to do is, where's my CG3? This lower part should be a little bit darker in my opinion, because it's shadow. There we go. And then I can make this middle part even darker. So back to my CG5. If I go over it again, there we go. Now it's nice and dark there. And then I can darken it up here a little bit as well. Also the slits, go back there a little bit, because it was only CG4. There we go. Now, what do you guys think? I think that's a pretty interesting spaceship design. Now this is how you can come up with all sorts of really cool and interesting ideas. I'm not sure about this, looks a little bit forced, to be honest. But yeah, let me just put the two things next to each other. So you can see it has an interesting shape. And yeah, I use this to keep this there, but when you do this and say, okay, I did this, but then I would somewhere maybe cut this off, but in itself this would be just a little bit maybe too boring of a shape. But I think this was a nice and interesting exercise. I hope you guys liked it, maybe learned something from it. Please leave me comments if you have questions or anything to add. Maybe hit that like button if you liked the video, or the dislike button. And then also leave me a comment to tell me what I made not so well. So I want to grow, so I want to get better. But anyways, you can follow me on Instagram if you like the stuff that I do and you want to see more industrial design stuff as well. But the most important thing is have a great day and great week, and see you folks next week. Bye bye. One of the kitchen utensils to make a drawing off of it. Come closer. I'm gonna edit these things.
Kitchen utensils.
What did I say?
Kitchen utensils.
Okay. You shut up. Shh, what?